he returns to Earth and immediately runs into his old companion Donna Noble and her husband Sean, along with their daughter Rose. Honestly, I feel a bit...
I like that, putting in quotation marks, the daughter. That's classy, Gary. That's very classy. Gender is a social construct.
Okay, because, you know, I really dislike the fake geek thing and the poser nerd thing. That's not what we're about. We're about inclusiveness.
Let's see. Mass Exodus, reject woke Disney's Doctor Who 60th anniversary. Oh, and it's still a reference to Pandaverse. How popular is that one? That's got 160,000. Let's pull up a couple video creators here. All right, so I pulled up 3 creators you probably know, and we'll go over some of their Doctor Who takes here. So what we have is a Demion TV. I think I got it right this time. We got Nerdrotic, of course, because, you know, yeah. We got Critical Drinker, and God, his late, like, Neurotic's thumbnails are just fucking, like, gross, and then, like, Critical Drinker's thumbnails are, like, the laziest fucking thing. Like, this is even a scene from the special. This is a scene from, like, a Doctor Who short that came out, recently. Samuel Force, how was most of the characters writing if Shang-Chi and Moon Knight were in the same room? Would there be a conflict? Tony, Steve, I don't know. Well, first of all, Samuel, thank you very much for the super chat. Awesome. I think, like, honestly, I think the characters writing for, like you bring up Shang-Chi and Moon Knight, I think very interesting and different characters. Would they be, I don't know if it'd be quite the same conflict, like, between Steve and Tony, but, like, it shouldn't be exactly the same, too. It should be a little bit different. But I think you bring up an interesting question, because, like, both Shang-Chi and Moon Knight are very different characters. So, yeah, we will have to see. I would like to see them cross over at some point. That would be very cool. Let's see. So, like, so, let's see. Fucking Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker, and a Demion. Which one has the most views? That one's Critical Drinker. Okay, Critical Drinker's is 8 minutes. Let's see, because Critical Drinker, you know, Critical Drinker has always struck me as a huge Doctor Who fan. So clearly, he will have a lot to say. And I guess before we get into this, I'll go ahead and go into a bit of my history of Doctor Who. I wasn't really a Doctor Who fan until maybe about 10 years ago, and then I just found myself getting addicted to the new series, and I got, like, so addicted, and when I ran out of shit from the new series to watch, I went back and watched, it was, the old stuff. So I watched a whole bunch of, like, mainly 4th and 3rd Doctor adventures. Really enjoyed it quite a bit. So I'm a pretty big fan of Doctor Who. And yes, I remember, I stopped watching during Peter Capaldi, and it wasn't anything to do with Capaldi. I thought Capaldi actually was a really good Doctor Who. But I found that Stephen Moffat took the stories... Like, I feel like Stephen Moffat had a good balance when he did Matt Smith, where the stories would be weird and over-complex, but kind of cool. And I feel like with Capaldi, he almost took it, like, a step further, and I just wasn't digging... Like, he would have cool setups and concepts for stories, but wouldn't quite work very well at all. That is a good point with Lucifer writing. Nerdrotic, probably, of these guys, if I had to guess one of them's a Doctor Who fan, I'd probably guess Nerdrotic. We are fairly confident, like, yeah, I mean, we're fairly confident he's lying about all this shit, that he's actually a fan. But, like, I am kind of interested to see what Drinker says. His is shorter, and then maybe we could dive into Nerdrotic. Hit the 2 big ones. Those are definitely the 2 big ones, for sure. But yeah, no, I've been a Doctor Who fan for, like I said, probably since about the 50th. I lost track during Capaldi, and so I have not seen Jodie Whitaker. But I thought it was interesting. So Chris Chibnall, I want to say his name is. I'm sure I'm slaughtering it, but he's a good content creator. He's a content creator. he's a good writer. He was in charge during the Jodie Whitaker era, and I know lots of people criticized it. Chibnall. Thank you. Chris Chibnall. He did some good episodes of Doctor Who back when I watched it. So, like, I was excited to see what he would do with it. And, you know, obviously I haven't seen it. But I know lots of people were very critical of the Jodie Whitaker era. I can't really say much. But I thought, hey, we got the 60th anniversary coming out. I will dive back into Doctor Who. So I watched the first special. I don't think the second one's out yet. And I thought it was pretty fucking solid. It's definitely a Russell T Davies special. Russell T Davies was the dude who was responsible for New Who in the early seasons, the first 4, I want to say. Pretty much the Tennant and Eccleston run. He was pretty good, but like he had a cheesy quality that he really dove into. My favorite, it's between 4 and 10 for me. It's between Tom Baker and David Tennant. For New Who, it's definitely David Tennant. For Old Who, it's Tom Baker. I love them both for different reasons, and it's tough for me to decide which one I prefer. I might lean towards Tennant, but like, God, Tom Baker's just a fucking legend. I love him. But anyways, do I agree about Nerdrotic and do you agree, Bob, about Nerdrotic and of the Chuds being tools? Oh, well, I mean, they are kind of tools, more or less. Not really where I was at. But anyways, I saw the special. I enjoyed it. There is a trans character in the special, and that's one of the things. So, like, when Jodie Whitaker left and Chris Chibnall left, everybody was like, okay, Doctor Who will be saved because Russell T Davies is coming back. He used to be in charge of Doctor Who. He will come back. And we even got David Tennant back, so he'll be back. Matt Smith is excellent. Paul McGann had potential. He really didn't get much because that Doctor Who movie he was in sucked. He did get a little, like, short special where we saw his regeneration, which is cool, though. But now Russell T Davies has come back. He did a trans character in the special, and now all the guys are all the usual suspects are blowing up about it, kind of entertainingly. I haven't seen any of their responses yet, but we can all guess what they're saying. Because I will go ahead and give you the quick rundown. There is literally... So Donna is one of the Doctor's companions. Since he has left her, she has had a child. That child is Rose Noble, who is a trans woman. That's kind of about it. There are 2 moments in Doctor Who, in this special, where he refers... there's this creature called a Meep, and he refers to Meep as a he. And the Rose character is like, you know, are you sure about those pronouns? And he asks Meep, okay, yeah, what are your pronouns? And Meep is not clear about it. And then there's another moment towards the end where Donna and Rose have a whole bunch of Time Lord energy. And they say something essentially along the lines of, unlike many male presenting people, we know how to surrender power or something like that. It was fine. We're talking about like these moments are like a grand total of like 10 seconds of the entire special. So naturally these chuds will blow them up and make them like they're the themes of the special or something. But let's see. Critical Drinker, who we all know is a Doctor Who expert. Let's see what his takes are on Doctor Who. Is Doctor Who actors like James Bond?
You know,
like
being a Brit who...
Yeah, kind of. So David Tennant is currently the 14th Doctor. But fun fact, he is also the 10th Doctor. Essentially, like they even have it in canon that he's the 14th Doctor, and the 14th Doctor appears a lot like the 10th Doctor, just older. I think they wrote that into canon. Kind of fun. But yeah, I believe with the 50th anniversary special where we see Tom Baker as an older version of the Doctor, kind of introduces the idea that the Doctor can return to previous forms, and we're seeing that now of David Tennant. So he is the 14th. Let's see if I can name them all. So you got William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, who is on the screen right now, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann. that now we're into New Who. Although, do we want to do War Doctor? Because that's John Hurt would go there. And then we got Chris Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith, Pierre Capaldi, Jodie Whitaker, and then now David Tennant again. That should be all of them.
You know, being a Brit who grew up in the 1990s, Doctor Who reruns were an intrinsic part of my childhood. I mean, who could forget the absolute terror of the Sea Devils?
Yeah, no, it struck you talk about Doctor Who. So how often has he even talked about Doctor Who on his channel? Dude, I always grew up with Doctor Who. Really? Well, you got this big channel right now, really popular channel. Let's see how often you've talked about Doctor Who. Let's put that to the test, because I've talked about Doctor Who before on my channel. I have done it a whole lot, but I have done it. Let's see. He's done some complaining about Jodie Whitaker. Is that it? It looks like he's done some Jodie Whitaker complaining. That's about it. Okay. Cool. Do you do a video on your favorite Doctor, by the way?
Oh shit, son, they're gonna get you. Well, that and stealing cheap vodka from corner shops to drink in a park in the middle of the night in winter. What can I say? It sounded pretty cool when I was 8. Anyway, my point is that I've always had
So what he's saying is that he doesn't really watch Doctor Who anymore. They watched it when he was younger.
a bit of a soft spot for my country's low-budget, charmingly goofy take on the sci-fi genre, but years of declining writing quality and a growing preoccupation with the message.
Please define the message. Just please, Will. Tell me what the message is. I would love to know. Because if we're talking, the message is just social justice, feminism, equality, diversity. Let's work together. If this is the message, what are you against? Because this all seems like good stuff. But like that's your whole thing. You say the message in an evil voice, and then you flash this on the screen. But then like you don't want to actually dive into this, because if we actually dive into this, you look at this, it's like, well, what's actually wrong with any of this? Diversity? What's wrong with that? Explain what's wrong with this. Pick some of these out and tell me what is your issue with feminism? What is your issue with equality? What is your issue with equal rights? What is your issue with diversity? Break that down for me, dude.
Gradually soured me on what the show had become, and the breaking point finally came with the absolute narrative dumpster fire of The Timeless Children. But then
I've heard lots of people complain about, I obviously haven't seen it because I haven't seen Jodie Whitaker, but like lots of people were complaining that retcon Doctor Who. And that is like the dumbest argument I've ever heard in my life. Doctor Who, the only reason it exists as it is because of retcons. Fucking Doctor Who is a fucking retcon machine. The very fact, like, when William Hartnell was the Doctor, they had no plans if he leaves. So when he leaves, they set up, they literally wrote into the story the idea that the Doctor regenerates and looks different. That is like one of the biggest retcons in fiction of all time. So if your biggest argument against something in Doctor Who is that it retcons something, that's weak sauce. It means nothing. Now if you want to argue it's a weak retcon and explain why it's a weak retcon, that's fine. But just saying it's a retcon is not an argument.
wouldn't you know it, things suddenly seemed to be looking up. The wildly unpopular 13th Doctor was finally jettisoned after what felt like decades of misery, veteran showrunner Russell T Davies was back in charge, and David Tennant was even coaxed back to play the Doctor one last time. Damn, maybe the show could actually pull off a Stranger Things and turn itself around after all. But leave it to the BBC to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. The Star Beast, the first episode of Davies' run, was basically a whistle-stop tour of every social justice issue that modern metropolitan Brits pretend to care about.
Was it? I didn't know having a trans character, who I will say was probably the third most important character in the special, having a major trans character means it is pushing some sort of social... Okay, let's see what you say.
hammered home by subtle and carefully crafted dialogue like this.
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
Oh, I called it. That's one of the moments. Let's see if he brings up the thing where he's questioned about gender.
Oh, come on! Oh my goodness, you guys literally never miss an opportunity, do you? Jesus, even the BBC's own culture editor called the episode nothing but a preachy vehicle for the message.
Wait, what? Who said that?
Jesus, even the BBC's own culture editor called the
Let's double check that one. That seems a little sus. Did they actually use the term "the message"? Like, do they have maybe they have a BBC culture editor who is literally just a fucking Critical Drinker fan? Okay. So this is it. This is Star Beast First Look Review. The 60th anniversary special is a whimsical affair. Neil Armstrong. So let's go to the paragraph he's talking about here. So, and although the show has always been progressive, look at a number of stories over the decades about, for example, threats to the environment. This special is preachy, and by the end, a little more than delivery session for the message. So what does this bode for the future of Doctor Who in the new season, which will begin next year? Following all these 3 specials and a Christmas special introducing Got Well Properly, it's difficult to say, but let's hope the immediate appearance of Neil Patrick Harris as a classic villain, the toy maker, in the 3rd and final special will really kick things off from the bag. Like, what? I'm trying to understand. What is he even saying by the message? Like, is he just a Critical Drinker fan? Who is Neil Armstrong? Well, I know the dude who walked the moon, but like the Neil Armstrong who wrote this. Okay, I'm gonna show you this guy's ex. Hopefully he doesn't post porn. I'm not getting Chud vibes. Like, here's the deal. Like, I feel like it's just, he just drops the message in here, and it's not clear at all. Like, again, like, I would ask him, like, if he's gonna write something like this, define what the message is, dude. What is it? I can't do anything like complaining about the message. All right. We don't need to dive into it any further.
episode nothing but a preachy vehicle for the
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, why is it capitalized the message? Like, the is capitalized. So he's obviously doing it as a proper thing. So, like, clearly you can define it, right? Like, it's just a weird thing to drop in the middle of the fucking article.
Message. I honestly don't know what's more ridiculous, that the BBC think people trust them to review their own output impartially, or the fact that they actually did it in this case and promptly decided that it was shit anyway. Whatever. The thing I really wanted to look at here today was something a bit smaller, but in some ways a lot more important to the show's future. A Children in Need special titled...
Did you even watch it? What, were you too fucking busy to watch the actual special, so now you're doing the fucking BBC short? Are you serious right now? Is that what... Fuck.
Destination Scarrow, that came out about a week or so before the first episode, featuring Tennant as the regenerated 14th Doctor.
60 minutes ago, I was this really brilliant woman.
No, mate, you weren't. I could think of a wide variety of words to describe your predecessor, and brilliant isn't one of them.
Cool story, bro.
Real focal point here, though, is the other main character of the episode, Daveros, the iconic creator of the Daleks and one of the most influential antagonists in the show's entire history. Now, eagle-eyed viewers might just be able to spot a few subtle differences between this Daveros and the one from classic Doctor Who episodes like Genocidal.
Yeah, like this one is a lot younger and not fucking decrepit yet.
Of the Daleks. Why does he look like a regular human now instead of this weird wrinkly rubber thing? Why doesn't he talk with his creepy electronic voice like before? And why is he walking around on fully functional legs instead of rocking his funky motorized chair like he always has until...
It's a prequel. Are you just filling time? Like it takes place before this. My god.
Now, well, the answer to those questions might just surprise you, dear viewer. Actually, no, forget that, they totally won't. Especially not when you hear what Russell himself has got to say about it.
Time and society and culture and taste has moved on, and there's a problem with the Davros of old in that he's a wheelchair user who is evil. And I had problems with that, and a lot of us on the production team had the problems with that, of associating disability with evil.
Are you serious?
This right here is the reason the new run of Doctor Who is gonna fail, just like the previous run did.
Really? Really? Just not wanting to introduce new. Well, I mean, I feel like you're probably cherry picking a bit here, because like the obvious answer is that this is a prequel. Like this is before Genesis of the Daleks and all that shit. This is before all that.
It's because much like Chris Chibnall with The Timeless Children, Russell has just demonstrated that he's more than willing to rewrite and retcon one of the most iconic characters in the show.
Fuck. I just made this huge speech about how Doctor Who retcons all this stuff, and he's calling this a retcon when it's not actually a retcon. It takes place before this point. He's not rewriting history with this. He's adding a new piece to the history. I guess you could argue the retcon is kind of how the Dalek got its arm, because I'm sure that was never intended.
No, but you broke the multi-claw adaptable thingy-majig.
Oh, yeah. Right.
The splendid design of my secondary...
But it was a joke. It's a fucking joke. It's a silly little special that's like 3 minutes on your browser.
60-year run in order to fit with the message. Can't be associating disability with evil, so...
Oh, was the special done for a charity to support people in wheelchairs? That actually makes sense.
Gone is the wheelchair, gone is the crippled arm, gone is the electronically assisted voice, gone is literally everything that made him so interesting and mysterious in the first place. Instead, Daveros has been
My god, this is such a dishonest framing. It's a fucking prequel.
redesigned into the most boring, generic-looking bad guy since Dar-Ben from the Marvels. Represented, of course, by the only group of people that the BBC now consider it acceptable to associate with pure evil. Thanks, guys. Great to know.
What would you recommend he be anyway? Like, what? I always assumed he was a white guy before he became that old decrepit thing. That's... what?
How much you despise the very people who pay your license fee and allow you to keep operating. I'll be sure to bear that in mind when mine's due for renewal. These writers are so tediously predictable that it's not even funny to mock them now, because even they know that everyone can see them for the smug, elitist arseholes that they are, and they totally don't give a shit. Just like Captain Ahab plunging his harpoon into Moby Dick as he gets dragged beneath the waves, they don't even seem to care about winning or losing anymore, they just want to inflict as much damage as possible before the ends. And the thing is, I don't even know what they imagine they're protecting with all of their fake concern. Like, do you really think that anyone, anywhere on Earth has ever looked...
Is this gonna be a whole video about how Daveros was portrayed in a fucking prequel? My god.
at Daveros and thought, oh my god, Derek from down the street uses a wheelchair, maybe he's a genocidal mass murdering scientist developing a race of mutated armored killing machines as well. Instead of protecting and elevating people with disabilities, you're actually putting them down by implying that they can't actually accomplish anything that Daveros did. Even with his physical body crippled, he remained a supremely cunning and dangerous enemy, a brilliant scientific intellect, a formidable military tactician, and one of the most important...
Do you just want to fap off to Daveros right now? Like, he is a genocidal murderer, you know that, right? Like, in Doctor Who canon, like, Daveros and Hitler, probably about the same. Just saying.
Important and dangerous characters in Doctor Who history. And as a character, Daveros was never defined by his physical limitations. He didn't brood and agonize over them. They were simply part of his history that he learned to adapt to and overcome, proving the point that physical disabilities don't have to be a barrier to achieving incredible things, both...
So, we're just fapping off to Daveros right now. Like, that's seriously what we're doing in this video. Isn't Daveros fucking awesome? How he made the Daleks and they killed millions of people? Isn't that fucking cool? What?
Both good and bad. That a person is more than how fast they can run or how much they can lift. Pretty inspiring when you think about it. Compare that kind of subtle and nuanced character development to what we have today, where the good people at the BBC are more than happy to mock, belittle, and place all kinds of judgments and limitations on someone's potential for the crime of being the wrong race or gender.
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
Funny how that works, isn't it? Which brings me to...
I like how he brings it together, even though, like, the points aren't really connected, and unless you just want to, like, throw it all under the umbrella of woke, and woke just means left of Nazi at this point, so I guess it's pretty broad.
To the core of the matter, dear viewer, being physically disabled doesn't automatically make you a good person, and it certainly doesn't make you immune to criticism for the things you say and do. Evil can come in all kinds of shapes, sizes, genders, races, religions, sexual orientations, and levels of physical ability, and the moment you start pretending that any of these things precludes the other, well, not only is it patronising as fuck towards any of the groups you've self-righteously taken it upon yourself to defend, by implying they've got no agency of their own and are therefore not responsible for their own choices and actions, but it's also a pretty dangerous and morally screwed up road to go down if you follow it to its logical conclusion. Because who knows what shocking crimes and depraved actions you might end up trying to wave away with your half-baked notion of, he couldn't possibly have done anything bad, he's in a wheelchair. It's the same line of thinking that casually dismisses morally reprehensible characters.
Man, we are jumping around. I have a lot to say about this. I'm just waiting for it to wrap up before his fucking get his whole argument out here, so I can laugh at it later. Because this is kind of hilarious when you think about it.
Is that we're willingly complicit in crimes against humanity just because they happen to be female, or isolationist ethno-states that launch unsanctioned missions against sovereign nations that result in civilian casualties with zero blowback or accountability because Wakanda forever or something.
Oh, okay, so that's cool.
Then the truth is, nobody should be immune.
Wakanda was facing penalties for that shit, weren't they? I'm pretty sure they were.
Into criticism and responsibility if they're shitty people who say and do shitty things. Fundamentally, we're all human with the free will to make our own choices in life, and to pretend otherwise dehumanizes and patronizes the very people you think you're protecting. And well, if this is what we can expect from Russell's new run as Doctor Who showrunner, I don't expect great success to follow in his wake. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Okay, I'm gonna make the case that video was fucking brilliant. Not at, like, actually breaking down Doctor Who. It was fucking miserable at that. What that episode was brilliant at, almost breaking down Critical Drinker at, like, his fucking worst. Because, like, it is so dumb. Like, he is taking, like, he plays that clip about the male-presenting doctor, and he puts that in the forefront twice. And he has to do that, because, like I said, there's not that many clips from here other than... Like, if you really want to go after this special, what you're going to do is lots of stuff where you're just shitting on trans people pretty exclusively. So you got maybe 2 clips you can use. The gender thing with the doctor questioning the gender of the meep, or the male presenting letting go of power line. Those are your two big. So what he did was he filled it up with like this non sequitur about like Daveros not being in a wheelchair because they don't want to represent people being in a wheelchair, completely ignoring the fact that this is a prequel that takes place way before he would be in the wheelchair, way before he was decrepit. Anybody, like, I didn't need to watch behind-the-scenes specials to figure out why Daveros wasn't in a wheelchair when I watched that, because I understood this took place before then, because there's stuff that happens before then, and Doctor Who is a time traveler. He can jump around in time and space. And it is insane that he took that one element and he's desperately weaving it together about how, this is why Doctor Who sucks, because wheelchair, we used to have this badass in a wheelchair and he's not in a wheelchair anymore. Okay. And then like the other point being, the male facing person, and then he even goes through and he's like weaving like completely disconnected shit, like Wakanda Forever. I haven't seen Wakanda Forever just when it came out. I wasn't thrilled. Black Widow was fine. That gets too much shit. And he is just desperate to weave this stuff together in like an 8-minute narrative. Because he needs to get over 8 minutes to get that fucking extra ad punch in. So he's weaving it into this fucking bullshit narrative. Notice 8 minutes and 1 second video. He's just getting it barely in there. He's padding it out with all this shit that he's desperately trying to get offended at. I mean, I can guarantee you that's why the Black Widow shit was at the end here, because you need to pad out this video. He's a minute short. It is so desperate and clearly grifty. It's ridiculous. Oh yeah, and I love the bit where he's fucking praising Daveros, like one of the biggest villains in Doctor Who history. Let's praise him. Let's show how he's a great person for disabled people to look up to. This is kind of amazing. Like, he looks like a giant snowflake when he's freaking out about this. I cannot stress that enough. Just the biggest snowflake you could imagine. But also, like, there's nothing to this video. Like, he's clearly just doing it to get in the algorithm points. I don't even think he's seen the special. Because that would be obviously what you make the video about if you've seen the special. But no, instead, he had a couple minutes, so he watched that fucking short, and so he decided to make a video on that. Just barely inching over 8 minutes. It kind of breaks down who Critical Drinker is. Minimal effort, maximum result with the 8-minute video there. Fucking, he could probably teach classes on how to get 2 million subscribers, half-assing it. I guess we will go ahead and dive into Nerdrotic, though, because Nerdrotic wouldn't surprise me if he is actually pretty knowledgeable in Doctor Who history, so let's see what he says.
Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 910,000 awakening wonders and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet.
He's very good at that, and I need to get better at it. So, guys, make sure to like and subscribe.
No, it's been a while, but we're going to talk about Doctor Who. At time of recording, it is the 60th anniversary of the greatest television show of all time. Shame it died in 2017. It's also been over a year.
Is that when Jodie Whitaker took over? Probably.
Since the last episode of the first female Doctor played by Jodie Whitaker, who we will lovingly call Dr. Karen. Who could forget one of the
Cool. That's very stylish of you.
Worst television runs in history. After a promising start with some pretty impressive ratings, it all went downhill.
Do you want to actually talk about the current special, or are we just going to be on 13th Doctor for a while? Probably 13th Doctor for a while.
Including some of the worst ratings for the television show in its entire history, and some of the worst audience scores, including a brief moment at 0%.
That's an audience score. The audience score doesn't really mean too much. Hell, even the critic score at 91% doesn't mean too much. I mean, we already know these guys pick and choose whatever measurement best suits their narrative. And yeah, that 0% is only with 30 fucking user ratings. That's not even much in the way of user ratings. Jesus.
on Rotten Tomatoes. But that's not all. It wasn't enough to replace the well-established male character that was the Doctor with the first female Doctor played by Jodie.
Well, you know what? They have done so many white male doctors. And what they did with after Matt Smith, because after Matt Smith, they established that David Tennant used 2 regenerations, meaning that Matt Smith was technically the last regeneration. However, because the Time Lords kind of gifted him X amount of regenerations, we don't know how many he has left, the rules changed. So, like, who he could regenerate into changed. And, yeah, now we're seeing more of an expansion of that. And I feel like they weave that into canon pretty decently, you know, in a way to kind of cover up the fact that, yeah, we've done this forever and we've only done white guys as the Doctor, and maybe we should be a bit more inclusive than that.
Whitaker, they also had to completely alter the canon with the horrific, timeless...
Again, Doctor Who canon is constantly being retconned. Constantly. If Doctor Who canon wasn't being retconned, it would have ended after 3 years. Retconning is how this franchise has stayed alive for as long as it has.
Children were 55 plus years of...
I want to also point out, like, these guys always like to talk about retcons as if they're bad inherently, when they're not. Retcons can be absolutely fine. It just depends on execution. Retcon does not mean bad.
Established television and an established character was completely redone in a 5-minute voiceover when they replaced the first Doctor, played by William Hartnell, with a young diverse girl. William Hartnell was no longer the first Doctor, the Doctor was no longer from Gallifrey, and this show was dead, making Doctor Who the worst case of message-assisted Mary suicide in all of entertainment. Then, when all seemed lost, the impossible happened. After spending...
You know what? This video is awful, but you know what? Gary, you've actually, you've trimmed your beard. It looks decent. I want to give you props for that. Good beard care. Usually your beard looks like shit. This actually looks like good beard care. You get a cookie from me.
Impossible happened. After spending years saying he would never return to Doctor Who, Russell T Davies did just that. And not just that, he brought David Tennant and Catherine Tate with him for a set of 60th anniversary specials. The Whovians who remained rejoiced. Then later it was announced that the Doctor would once again be a man. Could it be that the BBC wanted to genuinely bring fans back to...
But not a white man. Just pointing that out.
One of its biggest shows, prioritizing good stories over
the message.
Short answer, no. All it took to dash a lot of fans' hopes was the very first interview with the new 14th Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa.
He's a Time Lord. He's literally an alien. They are an alien. The Doctor is not from anywhere. It's like they don't fit in anywhere, and I think for marginalized people, they have been a real beacon of kind of feeling like seen in a way.
Yeah, Gallifrey, at least in New Who canon, Gallifrey doesn't really exist. Although I guess it does kind of exist. It's like miniaturized now. It's weird. But like, yeah, he's like the only Time Lord left, unless you want to count like there. Obviously, we got the Master, and there's a couple of strays. But like, he's the main Time Lord left. He doesn't really have a home anymore. That's kind of one of the big components of New Who, and also like, and how Ncuti Gatwa chooses to read that, like that reading is perfectly valid.
A bad feeling about this.
I feel like we've all got a lot bolder with the messages and the conversations that we're opening up.
Okay, fuckity bye.
Then the unthinkable happened. The worst nightmare for any science fiction fan, any fan of anything good, and any Whovian. Disney got involved with Doctor Who, not just to distribute.
Yeah, it's a new Disney deal. I don't think they're like really involved with the writing. What they're doing is giving money mainly for special effects in post.
It to finance it. I wish I could say things got better, but they didn't, because the lead up to the 60th anniversary has been nothing short of abysmal, and I'm not even talking about Doomsday.
Hi, I'm Doom. I'm the universe's greatest assassin. If you see the Doctor, tell them I'm on my way.
What the f***?
I wish it ended there. Then we got our first look at the 14th.
Okay, well, I don't know what the Doom thing is. Here, let's see. Let's pull that back into context, because it seems weird if that was done that poorly. And keep in mind, we're 3 minutes in this video. He hasn't even gone to the goddamn special yet. Just saying. This was 8 months ago. Wait. There's like a couple of these. It looks like it's like a parody thing. Meet Doom, the universe's greatest assassin, Doomsday, Doctor Who. Meet Doom, the universe's greatest assassin, Doomsday, comedy skit. Wait. What is Doomsday? It's 15 minutes. I don't want to go into 15-minute video, but like I'm sure Mr. TARDIS has the reasonable take, because he does a good job of this. All right, I guess we'll pull this up.
Hi, I'm Doom. Blame my mother. I'm the universe's greatest assassin, and in one day I'm going to die, unless I can find the Doctor. Someone sent death, literal death, after me. I can only outrun it for 24 hours. So, the clock's ticking. My vortex manipulator sends me a new target every hour. The Lesser Order of Oberon sends me a lot to choose from, and I'm picking the missions that'll, maybe, bring me to the Doctor. 24 hours. All of time and space. Will I find the Doctor? Ancient enemies. Old friends. Or maybe I'll go out in flames. A lot of flames. Well, it'll be better than what's coming for me. If you see the Doctor, tell them I'm on my way.
Okay. That was very cheaply made. I don't know the story behind it, so we're gonna watch the beginning of Mr. TARDIS here. Get some background on this.
So, unprompted and out of nowhere, the official BBC Doctor Who social media Twitter account decided to tease the very end of the world itself, seemingly. This is a tweet that dropped on the 19th of March. Tomorrow, Doomsday is coming, ... with this little 10-second ident tease. I forgot it had that music. So yeah, people thought that this might be a sequel to Doomsday, or maybe something a bit more obscure, like the potential finding of Marco Polo. I saw theories ruminating in basically all directions and all extremes, but we did get the announcement today at 11 o'clock as to what Doomsday is. Universe, meet its greatest assassin, Doom. Doomsday, a multi-platform story told over books, comics, audio and more, is coming soon, and we got this minute-long teaser, which serves as an introduction to Doom. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Doom. Blame my mother.
We just saw this.
I'm the universe's greatest assassin, and in one day I'm going to die. Unless 24 hours. All of time and space. Will I find the Doctor? Ancient enemies. Old friends. Or maybe I'll go out in...
So this isn't even something for the specials. This was just for like the audiobooks and shit, which there's lots of expanded universe stuff for Doctor Who.
Flames. A lot of flames. Well, it'll be better than what's coming for me. If you see the Doctor, tell them I'm on my way.
So yeah, I like that bop. Also, the Lesser Order of Oberon, I actually think that's a pretty fun little callback. I think that's a pretty fun little homage to Revelation of the Daleks of the Grand Order of Oberon. Anyway, so Doomsday, coming out this year, is a special multi-platform story that will celebrate Doctor Who's 60th anniversary by introducing a brand new character on a 24-hour pursuit of the Doctor, Doom. So Doom is played by stand-up comedian, comedy sketch artist and actor Suze Kempner, who says to be part of the Doctor Who universe, a British institution, up there with cups of tea and James Bond, is surreal and amazing. So there's some pretty cool pictures there. The official story on the official Doctor Who news page, multi-platform story, someone has sent literal death after Doom. She can only outrun it for 24 hours unless you can find the Doctor. Launching later in 2023, this standalone transmedia series had gone woke, will allow Doctor Who fans to follow Doom, the universe's greatest assassin, as she travels through all of time and space in pursuit of the Doctor to save her from the ever-approaching death. She only has 24 hours and a a vortex manipulator to save her before her fate is sealed forever. So, we've got Suze Kepner giving a statement here, Russell T Davies as well chiming in. Doomsday is a huge new adventure for the whole Doctor Who universe, starring the brilliant and hilarious Suze Kepner as an intergalactic assassin. Her adventures will span comics, audio, a novel, video game stories and more, expanding the world of Doctor Who into brand new territories. Beware the Doomsday, it's coming for us all. And the bit that everybody is most interested in, Doomsday will kick off on Doctor Who digital channels later this year, followed by products from Doctor Who Magazine, Titan Comics, Penguin Random House, East Side Games, Big Finish and BBC Audio, each...
Wallace and Gromit fan, do you have a birthday? Happy birthday, man. Thank you for the super chat. Happy birthday.
Telling a section of Doom's story. Each partner will create their own adventure for Doomsday, each focusing on one of the 24 hours Doom has left on the clock. The standalone stories will also have an overarching narrative that will play out before the finale, which will release on Doctor Who digital channels. When it comes to these partners here, East Side Games is the company that has recently released that Doctor Who Lost in Time idle mobile game, so maybe Doom will become a character in that for one of the frequent events that they have over the course of the week during that game. Big Finish have already got a page up to pre-order Doctor Who Doomsday, starring Suze Kempner, which comes out in September 2023. You can pre-order a CD or a download, or you can just pre-order the download itself. This is on the upper tier in terms of their pricing, so I'm not sure if this is going to come in some sort of special boxing, some sort of special collect.
So this is just like a thing they did for like the Doctor Who expanded universe. Okay, that's why it looks so cheap. And then, okay, so that's the history behind that Doomsday thing. It did look cheap, but hey, it is what it is. It's not meant to be like the main series. Now, this little special is, I assume, supposed to be canon with the main series, but like this had like a high budget to it. It was like a little goofy origin story to the Dalek's arm, which is goofy. Let's see what Nerdrotic says about it.
Doctor and Daveros in a cringe Children in Need special that I could have completely forgotten about, except Russell T Davies decided to make it even worse.
There's a problem with the Daveros of old in that...
Oh my god.
That he's a wheelchair user who is evil. And I...
Yes. Critical Drinker had a pissing fit over this, and now you will too. Cool.
Had problems with that, and a lot of us on the production team had the problems with that, of associating disability with evil. I say this is how we see Daveros now. This is what he looks like. This is 2023.
Dude, I'm gonna get pissed if Nerdrotic just plays like a clip and then just freaks out over this whole thing.
And he looks like this now. And that we are absolutely standing by.
Yes, it's political correctness gone mad. And if you're just watching this video and don't know anything about Doctor Who, I don't know why, but thank you. Daveros, the creator of the Daleks and one of the most iconic villains of Doctor Who, has now been fundamentally...
Are you gonna fap off over him too? Just like Critical Drinker? I mean, you guys can get together and fap off over Daveros all you want. Sounds like fun to me. I will be skipping out on that because I don't really care about Daveros. He is a mass murdering psychopath, but you guys have your own kinks, okay?
Fundamentally changed, and it would be equal to changing Darth Vader because you didn't want to offend anybody with prosthetic limbs. Despite all that, the first of 3 Doctor Who specials celebrating its 60th anniversary has arrived. The return of David Tennant, the return...
I probably won't be going over the Mr. TARDIS, because when I go over Mr. TARDIS, I largely just watch him because he's good. But I'll see about digging up that link and posting it at the end, because like Mr. TARDIS is awesome. You guys should give him a subscription, especially if you're a Doctor Who fan. Obviously.
Return of Catherine Tate, the return of Russell T Davies. Was it a celebration of, let's just be real, a little over 5 decades of great entertainment, or just another modern franchise being sacrificed on the altar of agenda? Again, if you guessed the latter, then you'd be correct, because the now 3rd reboot of Doctor Who was murdered in its crib. If any
3rd reboot of Doctor Who? I would argue that pretty much every single Doctor has been a reboot. Like, the series gets a little reboot every time they change doctors. So this is more like the 12th, at least.
Everyone at the BBC, Bad Wolf, or Disney, including Russell T Davies, thinks this is going to bring back old fans, or even more important, bring in new ones. I would suggest you stop getting high on the supply of your own farts. But at least we know the answer to one question. Why did Russell T Davies return in the first place? It's obvious. To use Doctor Who as a delivery mechanism for, you guessed it,
the message.
Are they all just gonna be saying the message now? For fuck's sake. Can one of you guys who use the term the message fucking define it? For the love of fucking God. He's using the same fucking message Critical Drinker does too. Like...
What makes this worse is it features David Tennant and Catherine Tate. It could have been a mediocre episode at best, but it couldn't get out of its own way. The Star Beast is based on a comic strip of the same name written by Pat Mills, John Wagner, and illustrated by Watchmen's Dave Gibbons. After the first female Doctor, played by Jodie Whitaker, regenerates into David Tennant's 14th Doctor, a new Doctor wearing an old face, he returns to Earth and immediately runs into his old companion Donna Noble and her husband Sean, along with their daughter Rose. Honestly, I feel a bit...
I like that, putting in quotation marks, the daughter. That's classy, Gary. That's very classy. Gender is a social construct.
Okay, because, you know, I really dislike the fake geek thing and the poser nerd thing. That's not what we're about. We're about inclusiveness.
Silly even breaking down the plot for you guys because it was so meaningless to this episode. Anyway, right around the same time, a spaceship crash lands while releasing an escape pod, and eventually Donna's daughter, Rose...
Jesus Christ, dude. Yes, it's her daughter. Get over it.
Comes across Beep the Meep. The Meep tells Donna's daughter that it's being hunted down by a warrior race for its fur. To save your valuable time and my dwindling sanity, we're going to get through the rest of the plot quickly. It turns out that Beep the Meep is the bad guy, and the Roth warrior race who is in pursuit of the Meep are the good guys. The cute and cuddly Meep used to be just that until their son turned into a psychedelic son, mutating the Meep into cruel conquerors, which I believe is somewhat accurate to a comic strip that I've read almost 2.5 decades ago. And now it's up to the 14th Doctor, Donna, her family, and a unit scientist in a wheelchair to stop the Meep from taking off in its spaceship and destroying 5 square miles of London before completing the trans allegory. As far as the characters go, David Tennant is good as the Doctor, as he usually is, but I have to agree with my good friend Bowles Trek, it feels a bit like an aging rock star going out on a reunion tour. Still, he's good, and so is Catherine Tate as Donna Noble.
So wait, is he good or not? Like, make up your mind.
As well as Sean, her husband, and her mom Sylvia. Unfortunately, it's all wasted on this propaganda. We're also introduced to two...
How is it propaganda? Go ahead and dive into that one, Gary. I want you to explain how this is propaganda.
New characters, including Shirley Ann Bingham, a unit science advisor who's in a wheelchair that can fire knockout darts and missiles. Unfortunately, I think Unit's going through some budget cuts because they have access to alien technology, but they can't provide her with an exoskeleton, a hovering wheelchair, or even a motorized wheelchair. This brings us to...
She had a motorized wheelchair. What? Okay.
Anna's daughter, Rose, played by Yasmin Finney, a 20-year-old actor playing a 15-year-old child. The centerpiece of the 60th anniversary special of Doctor Who and the message.
I mean, I do like how he doesn't call her an actress, you know.
Not for Yasmin.
I mean, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, it's I see what you're doing, but like, you know, I think an argument can be actor is the gender neutral term for everybody in that profession, but it's kind of clear what you're doing too.
Acting ability, because that really doesn't exist. It's for the actor's existence. Don't believe me? We'll let the episode speak for itself. We're told time and time again that Rose is beautiful.
The most beautiful daughter in the world.
You look absolutely...
Oh, wait, do you mean I actually forgot about that. There is a brief scene where the mom, not Donna, but her mom accidentally misgenders Rose because she's, you know, still getting used to the transition. And, you know, they have a conversation about, you know, how, like, it's tough to get used to that. Times are changing, but, like, you know, they love her and they think she's great and, you know, they support her. That was pretty much what the conversation was, which seems like a thing people might have, especially when you're getting used to it.
Absolutely gorgeous. When I say she looks gorgeous, is that right?
Does she look gorgeous? Yes. Well, stop worrying. And then she grows up into this extraordinary, beautiful thing, and you think, where the hell did she come from? How lucky am I?
She's brilliant.
How dare parents be proud of their children? What a bitch. Don't you think?
Got this beautiful daughter. She's happy.
Okay, I get it.
I got a question for Doctor Who fans out there. Do you fire up your anniversary special expecting something retrospective, maybe something a little new, maybe something fun, or do you want to see the Doctor corrected after a misuse of pronouns?
Don't you dare.
Meat.
Yes, the meat. I promise I can help him get home and then you'll never see me again.
You're assuming he as a pronoun.
True. Yes, sorry. Good point. Are you he or she or they?
My chosen pronoun is the definite article. I am always the me.
So now, trigger warning for potentially...
Okay, like, notice in that scene how the Doctor was, like, humiliated and, like, slunk away as she, like, brought that, like, humiliating... No, she just said, hey, you're assuming pronouns. He went, hey, you're making a good point. I shouldn't assume pronouns. What pronouns would you like? As a normal, functioning person should handle it. The Doctor just was demonstrating exactly how you should handle that situation. Flawlessly. And you're offended by that, Gary. I don't know why. Probably because you're a bigot. But, you know, hey.
Contentious conversation, if we don't mind me leading myself into this, which is that of dead naming. Rose at one point is dead named in the street by some kids calling her by her dead name.
Looking good, Jason. Give us a kiss, Jay boy.
Oh, get them.
I personally think we should stare into difficult stuff like this. So what do you think?
I feel that it is important to show the lived reality of trans people. To my mind, as a trans person and as a writer, there is no point in trying to sugar the pill. Trans people...
I like he's using lots of deceptive editing here to make this look, like, weird, I think. Probably. Like, essentially, we're talking about a trans writer talking about how it's important to show the trans experience, which I think that I would agree with that. Like, there's nothing wrong with showing the trans experience. Lived experiences are good to convey so that people understand each other a bit better. There might be people who have never encountered a trans person who watch this special and understand trans people a bit better because of this special. So, yeah, sounds reasonable to me.
People face transphobia. And it happens.
I'm bored.
But Russell...
So her just pausing for like a minute, you could do that funny little sound effect and be like, oh, she's rebooting. He does lots of weird fucking editing like that because he's an asshole. But yeah.
Davies and company really bring it home with their outright worship of agenda by committing one of the worst crimes against imagination. You could put it right up there with Ridley Scott screwing up Alien by going back and undoing one of the greatest stories in modern Who that Russell T. Davies wrote, The Dr. Donna. I'll try to keep this brief because
he didn't undo it. He essentially, he did kind of retcon himself a loophole into it, but he didn't undo it. That story very much still exists.
Because the only thing that equals the amount of agenda that's in this episode is the amount of exposition. Long story short, Donna took the power of the Time Lords into her mind and saved the universe, but at a terrible cost. It was killing her. So the Doctor had to make her forget all of her experiences with the Doctor. If she remembers the Doctor, she will die. It was a brilliant, beautiful, and bittersweet story. Donna got her happy ending, but she could never see the Doctor again.
And that's the tragedy of Donna, is that she will never know. She will never know. And this, it's so sad that she will probably just not reach any potential because she doesn't know she's got any. But hopefully she'll be happy.
It's desperately, bitterly sad that Donna will never remember any of the...
And it's almost like they're bringing her back for an anniversary special, so they wrote kind of a loophole to bring her back. We don't know how they'll write her out, but yeah, there's Gary, if you genuinely think they shouldn't have brought her back because you thought that was a good storyline, because it was a good storyline, that is actually, I would say, one valid critique you've brought up this video. But let's see what you actually say, because, yeah, you're tough at actually saying things. You're really good at implying a lot of shit. That's for sure.
Extraordinary things that she's experienced. It's desperately sad for the Doctor as well.
Donna, I was just going.
Yeah, see ya.
And he has to sacrifice that relationship for the greater good.
And Russell T Davies completely undid his own work, not to tell a good story, but to send a message. And it turns out it was more than just remembering.
It wasn't to send a message. It was, he wrote a loophole so he could bring Donna back. It's as simple as that, bro.
The Doctor. Apparently Donna's the Winter Soldier now, and her memory can be unlocked with a code through a series of contrived events.
Yes. But yeah, it can, like, I assume the code was established. Well, I don't remember if it was established at some point, but yeah, the Doctor had a code that he could say to unlock her memories. But yeah, we'll see. Like, he hasn't even gotten to how she survives.
Since Donna is needed to keep the Meep ship from taking off and destroying 5 square miles of London, she does this and then dies. And immediately wakes up again because they undid one of the greatest stories in Doctor Who for a transmission allegory. Turns out when
Yay.
Donna had a child, she passed down her Meta-Crisis Time Lord energy to her daughter, making
it always, like, he says daughter, but he always does the Dr. Evil quotation things. Pretty shitty. Yes, it is her daughter. Fucking get over it, Gary. But also, yeah, like, so Donna passed on part of the Time Lord knowledge onto her daughter. And so, like, when it's activated, they shared it, so it wasn't so much to kill her. So it allows Donna to regain her memories and still be with the Doctor for the specials. That's what they wrote.
Making it the most powerful Time Lord of all.
I mean, you could argue that, like, it was a great outro for Donna before, and I think that's a fair argument. But yeah, I you know, we get Donna back for some 60th anniversary specials. Sure. I think it's reasonable.
A trans lord.
Binary. Non-binary.
We're binary.
She's not. Because the Doctor's
male
and female. And neither. And more.
And if that wasn't enough, they brought David Tennant back to a 60th anniversary special, which really didn't celebrate the show at all, to dress him down.
We know everything. Thanks.
And you know nothing. It's a shame you're not a woman anymore. She'd have understood.
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
Shut up. Just shut up. Shut up.
So triggered. Like, they cannot get over like 2 seconds of the special, I swear.
Shut up. Shut it up.
And just like that, your one opportunity to bring back some old fans and possibly bring in some new ones is gone like a fart.
Really? Really? You think the fans in general are as snowflakey as you are, Gary?
In the wind. All I can say is f this show. Coming off reviewing the Marvels, I didn't think anything could get any worse, especially this, and I'm a sweet summer child because boy was I wrong. While the Marvels was just a shitty movie, the Doctor Who 60th anniversary used nostalgia bait to beat you over the head over and over again with propaganda. Don't believe me?
Propaganda. Just a trans woman living her life is propaganda. Okay, Gary, sure.
Well, over the next week, the usual suspects in the Access media will be running with a lot of articles like this. Doctor Who's first 60th anniversary.
Are we going to spend the last few minutes of your video just reading headlines? That's always fun.
Anniversary special is the Turf's Worth Nightmare.
Yeah, true. That's awesome.
If you had removed all the agenda from this 60th anniversary special, it's
a trans character relaying her story from her perspective. Although, like, I'm saying that, but like, it's not even really that because we're just getting elements of that. Like, it's still very much the 14th Doctor's story.
Still would have only been a mediocre episode for a middle of a season. But ultimately, the failure of this show lays at the very large feet of our new Rose.
I want to go home.
Oh, large feet. You see what he did there? Such an asshole.
Meep is all alone.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Sometimes I think I'm from a different planet.
She can't act. She's terrible. I don't know how to tell her.
A character like Captain Jack Harkness worked for the same reasons.
Oh, dude, if Captain Jack Harkness came out now, you guys would have a shit fit over him. You know you would.
The new Rose didn't. One character was much more than his sexuality, and the other one wasn't more than its identity. I really
Really? Like, we've had like one episode with her. We didn't have that much with her. Are you serious?
didn't think the special would be that bad, but once I heard that the showrunner Russell T Davies wanted to avoid associating disability with evil and change Daveros completely, I guess I should have known.
It was a prequel. My God, can you guys not understand that? This is ridiculous.
On that note, hashtag I sit with Daveros. At this point, we shouldn't be surprised, but it doesn't make it any less disappointing. First, there was Disney Star Wars, then Disney Marvel, now there's Disney Doctor Who. Ugh. I think what sums up the first episode of the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who is the last two paragraphs of a review from the BBC. If you've been indifferent to Who, this won't be the episode to convert you. And if you're altogether new to the show, you'll probably wonder what all the fuss is about. And although the show has always been progressive, look at the number of stories over the decades about, for example, threats to the environment. This special is preachy, and by the end, little more than a delivery system for the message. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like...
Yeah, I definitely didn't like Gary. This framing is so dishonest, it's insane. Like, yeah, Daveros isn't in a wheelchair. Yeah, it's before he was in the wheelchair, obviously. God. These guys are awful. Guess I don't have much to add. They're just awful.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.